Hi there, my name's Tyler Roicki. Welcome to my channel. So I'm here with my 2010 Porsche Cayenne, and it's a used Porsche Cayenne. I bought it used and now I've owned it for a little more than 2 years. So effectively, I have a 2-year cost of ownership update. So I'm going to break into the specific service records, the cost, the insurance, and show you how much it costs to own a used Porsche Cayenne. So without further ado, let's dive into the numbers. First, I'm going to start out by sharing with you how much it actually cost me to buy the vehicle. Then I will be sharing an update with you on the maintenance cost. Lastly, I will be giving you a total line-by-line breakdown of the cost of ownership over the last 2.5 years, including the payment amount, insurance, fuel cost, as well as the opportunity cost. So I bought it in March of 2018 at a dealer-only auto auction with 123,000 miles, clean history, 2-owner history, and I got it for the wholesale price of $15,000. And you gotta love that wholesale price because market value at the time was $18,000, if not a little bit more. I hadn't seen a 2010 model up until that point go for that price. Auction fees added $265 to the purchase price. And then also I had some light cosmetic work done on the driver's side rear bumper shortly upon purchase, which totaled about $500. So grand total, just shy of $16,000 initial purchase price. And then tax, title, license ran just shy of $1,200. And I was able to finance the vehicle 100% financing at just 1.95% interest at the time through a local credit union. So I was super happy with that over the course of 66 months. Which meant my payment was only $289 a month. And even if I carried it out for the full 66-month term, my total interest payments would be about $1,000. So pretty incredible. I was super happy with the financing term. For me, much more preferable than paying cash for it because I could keep my money to work elsewhere versus paying cash. So fast forward 2.5 years, upon my best estimation, the current market value is about $12,000. So when you factor out the post-purchased expenses, including the TT&L expense, you're looking at about a $3,000 depreciation cost, which for adding 40,000 miles to the odometer, to me, ain't too bad. Especially since now that the odometer reads 163,000 plus miles, of which a large part has been highway mileage, at least in my use. But regardless of whether it's highway miles or city miles, you still have the maintenance cost. In a previous video from late last year, I went through all of my maintenance cost up until that point in time to figure out what the cost of maintaining the vehicle had been throughout my ownership. Just over $6,800 to run the Cayenne GTS. About $1,300 of that was for new tires, and then $200 an oil change. So that's another $1,200. So $2,500 of that was for very routine maintenance. The rest was things that happen along the way. But when you take out the $2,500 of super routine maintenance out of the equation, you get $4,300. Since then, there have been 2 main maintenance items that have come up this year that I've had to address. The engine had developed a rough idle, which turned out to be a bad high pressure fuel pump. Also at that same point in time, the brakes were due for some love, so we needed a set of all new rotors and pads all around, and also an oil and filter change. It was about that time, so we got it all done. And I was not thrilled that this all happened at the same time because I knew that it was going to be a substantial service bill. The good news is, through some searching online, I ended up getting a phenomenal deal on the parts we needed. I was able to find a new high pressure fuel pump on eBay from someone who misdiagnosed their Cayenne and actually installed it, only to find out they hadn't solved the issue they were having with theirs. So they took it off right away and put it on eBay for me to come and buy it for them at a solid discount over the retail price. And I got a great deal on the pads and the rotors on a recommendation I found online on a Porsche forum, which was rockauto.com. They had great pricing on the new parts that I needed. So all in on parts and labor for the new high pressure fuel pump, 4 rotors and pads installed, as well as the oil and filter change. It came out to a total of $1,928.10. That aside, I had the windshield replaced for $385. It was long due to a rock that had hit the windshield a couple years back, and it ended up forming a long crack line. I just had put off addressing it, finally had that addressed as well. So that brings the total maintenance cost over my 40,000 mile course of ownership, which includes regular oil changes and 1 set of new tires, to $9,156.38. In reality, I'll be due for another set of tires before too long here, as well as another oil and filter change. So in very short time, my total cost of ownership will exceed
$10,000
on the way to 11. I'm curious to know, does that figure overwhelm you or underwhelm you based on 40,000 plus miles of drive time now over the past 2.5 years? Let me know in the comments. Would love to hear your perspective on that. So last but not least, we're going to go line by line into the total cost of ownership, which includes maintenance plus every other cost associated with driving and owning this vehicle. So if you break that maintenance cost I just shared with you down by a monthly basis, we're going over 30 months because it's been exactly 2.5 years. So that's $324 a month. My monthly loan payment, which again, 100% financed from the purchase price, so it includes the initial TT&L, loan interest, and depreciation, it's $289 a month. So fuel consumption wise, I've been averaging 14.5 miles per gallon over the past 40,000 miles, which 40,000 miles breaks down to 16,000 a year. Gas prices have varied, but if I had to guess, I'd say about $2.60 a gallon is probably where the average has been over that course of time. And that puts us at $239 a month in fuel. Insurance for me, based on a multi-car policy and a good driving record, is $85 a month for the Cayenne. And then last and actually least in this case, we have car washes. Believe it or not, I do self-service car washes, at least for now. So it's about $10 a month between soap and putting a couple dollars in for the water. An annual registration is about $7 a month if you break it down. So that brings the grand total monthly cost of ownership to $954 per month. So rounding to a nice even number, $950 a month has afforded me the luxury of being able to drive what I would have considered to be my dream SUV 10 years ago. And if this were like any other cost of ownership video that you've seen before, we'd end it here on this note. However, one of my subscribers in another video brought up an excellent point about opportunity cost, and I thought it was worth bringing up in this video to better understand the true cost of ownership. See, no matter how you slice it, that $950 per month on average is an expense. And even though I've paid it over the last 30 months or 2.5 years, fact is, if I sell the vehicle today, I really don't have much anything to show for it. Instead, I have memories of great driving experiences, as well as a handful of times that were just straight up agony from the unexpected expenses that hit along the way. So what was the opportunity cost? Well, $950 a month for 30 months is $28,500 worth of expenses, which ultimately, aside from the utility and memories, today buys me $400 in equity based on the difference between my current payoff amount and the current market value. Yes, you heard that correctly. If I sell it today, I have $400 left as a result of that expense. And now something to understand here before I peel this back further is that opportunity cost is something that will vary person to person. So for me, I look at opportunity cost as what I know about and what I am involved with. In other words, if I weren't using the $950 a month to drive this Porsche Cayenne into the ground, what else would I use the money for? For me, in my particular situation, I see 4 possible scenarios. Well, 5 if you consider another car. Scenario 1 is savings. That was certainly an opportunity. That's $950 that was an expense. If it was saved up over that same course of 30 months, it would be over $28,000 saved up today. Scenario 2 is a simple investment in the S&P 500 index, which between the time of purchase and now has gone up about 10% annually on average. So taking that same $950 per month and applying it towards that would result in about $33,000 thereabouts today, which I've actively followed the stock market over this course of time, and it is something that I am very familiar with. Scenario 3 is actually the stock in the real estate company that I am affiliated with. So if I had taken the $950 a month and applied it towards buying more shares in the real estate company that I am affiliated with, which is EXP Realty, I'm a real estate agent. The ticker symbol is EXPI on the NASDAQ, but I would have been able to acquire more shares. Looking at it, probably an average of about $11 a share, but that would have gotten me over the course of time, probably about 2,500 shares, another 2,500 shares in addition to what I already have in it. But today, the value of that would be over $96,000. Which is a real opportunity cost for me because it's something I've been familiar with over this whole course of time. It's something that I've been invested in over this whole course of time. And if that extra money was not going towards a vehicle, that is probably the top place that I would have been looking at to put it into myself. So the fourth opportunity for me would have been an investment property, which is something else that I'm very familiar with. See, the cumulative value of that $950 a month for 30 months would have been enough for a solid down payment on a rental property, which if bought under market value in a distressed scenario, perhaps bank owned, there would have been an opportunity to take that $28,000 down and put it into something that would have had instant equity based on buying it under the market value. Like say if you're buying it for 80% of the full market value and then sticking a tenant in it. And so, there would have been an opportunity there. And I found a real example that goes along these lines. Literally, it took me 5 minutes to find something, but I found an example where I could have taken that $28,000 and put it towards buying a property at a discount to the full market value, about 20% discount. So that 20% difference is potential for equity. So if you're talking about a $200,000 property that you can buy for about $160,000, that's a $40,000 spread, where if you're keeping the property, that's equity. So I could have taken that $28,000, acquired the property, added $40,000 to the value of my equity, which essentially is $70,000 plus the difference in the cash flow when you stick a tenant in it. If the payment's $1,100 a month and I'm renting it for $1,500 a month, that's a $400 cash flow a month that I created by buying that property, which is the scenario I found in the example. So that's the fourth opportunity cost, is I could have bought an investment property like that instead of driving the Cayenne. And the fifth thing, like I said, if we're adding a fifth one, is another car. I mean, you see the smile on my face, I love that idea, and I'm already thinking about what I would take that $950 a month and buy next. And I think you would be very surprised if I showed you, and maybe I will in a future video. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's time for another car or a rental property or both. I mean, shoot, why not do both? But needless to say, I opted to daily drive my dream SUV for the past 2.5 years, and it's been an enjoyable experience, opportunity cost aside. So there you have it. that's what it's cost me to own this 2010 Porsche Cayenne GTS over the course of the last 2 years and change. I hope that helps familiarize you with what to expect with these Porsche Cayennes, especially if you're getting a V8 model, GTS, or turbo. If you're gonna drive it a lot like I have, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. That's just the reality of it. If you're gonna save it for the weekends, date nights, etc., keep the mileage lower, you're probably gonna have a lower cost than I have. So just that's what to expect. Let me know what you thought about the video in the comments. Any questions you have for me, I'll be happy to address them there. And if you haven't done so already, I would appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button so I can share more with you on this vehicle and others in the future. And thank you so much for watching. I'll look forward to seeing you on the next video.